Hayden Silas Anhedonia, also known as Ethel Cain, has become a musician with quite a large following in the past few years. She is a transgender icon whose audiences only seem to grow in the past year or so. As of April 2025, she has 3 full albums and one 90-minute EP, which is considered an album due to its length and is her most recent release. It should also be noted that she has some great videos like this one.
My name is Hayden Anadonia, and today we are going to be doing an unboxing of the brand new Nintendo Switch Lite,
as well as this one.
Oh hey, it's me, Gollum. I've been trying to get my ring back from those stupid filthy hobbitses, but I'm dummy thick and the sound of my ass cheeks clapping keeps alerting the guards.
In this video, however, I will not be discussing her newest release, but instead her large 2022 project entitled Preacher's Daughter. This album brought Hayden to new heights, mainly on Twitter and TikTok, where it had been passed around quite a lot in the music spaces on both platforms. The lead up to this album was particularly of note, with many cryptic hints and posts creating intrigue and suspense for the release of this project. As of today, this is still her most popular project to date. When I was first writing for this video about a year ago, there wasn't as much information about this album, but now I have seen many reviews and analyses crop up on YouTube and other platforms. Because of this, it should be noted that this analysis of the album will mostly cover my individual research and may contain some topics that have already been touched and some that may be wildly incorrect. This, however, is my interpretation of the album, and I believe it should be seen as such. With all that out of the way, let's start with the first track on this record, Family Tree Intro. This first track on the concept album acts as a bit of a precursor and starts in media res of the 5th song on this record, Family Tree. From the first few chords, we can tell that this is going to be a pretty dark, sinister, and moody record. It is also worth noting that per Hayden, Preacher's Daughter is set in the year 1991. From this first passage, we hear a preacher speaking mainly about the idea of motherhood. We begin to see the first webs of Ethel's storyline being woven, which should be noted are purely fictitious in this album. These lines show that the traditional role of a mother is to take care of the men and children in their lives, mainly men in the context of this album. This sets up the beginning of the story, where Ethel has somewhat deified her role as a mother in a way, feeling that she needs to take care of men and mostly the Lord God, who is her father in this circumstance.
These crosses all over my body remind me of who I used to be. Then Christ, forgive these wounds I'm hiding. Successfully.
The first 2 lines here are about Ethel's cross tattoos, reminding her of who she used to be, a Christian. She used to feel pure, but now she feels dirty by this point in the story. Also, notice the mention of bones here. This is something that will crop up later, right at the very end of the narrative.
Jesus can always reject his father. He cannot escape his mother's blood. He'll scream and try to wash it off of his fingers, but he'll never escape what he's made up of.
With this excerpt, Ethel is saying that we can't escape our nature, you cannot fix people, it is up to them to do it themselves. These lines here I interpret to be about Ethel's father. This is alluding to the fact that her father has ruined her in some way and left her. This is something Ethel doesn't want other men in her life to do. Being left by her father has made her feel lonely, pathetic, and without direction. Transitioning from the short family tree intro, we move into American Teenager, a much more upbeat track. In many ways, it feels a lot like the national anthem, extremely patriotic, liberating, and upbeat. This song is also very satirical of America and the standard American dream, with Hayden even showing a video of her watching 9/11 on TV in this track's music video. Speaking of the music video, it should also be noted that this is the only song on the album with a music video and a visual element. It also has the most streams compared to the rest of these songs due to its catchy nature, and was the third and final single released for the album. This portion really just sets the scene of this song. Ethel is a young, naive, and carefree high schooler living in a typical suburban neighborhood. These lines can be interpreted two ways in my opinion. The way I heard this when I first listened was that Ethel's neighbor killed himself. But what makes more sense is that he died serving in a war for the United States. Ethel sees this death as a fault of the system and not his own fault. The death is just another casualty serving the American dream. This pre-chorus here is repeated twice in this song and serves as Ethel not only talking about the American dream again, but also of Christianity. She feels both of these forces crushing down on her, and it is isolating for her. This chorus is also repeated twice later in the song. Here, Ethel is saying that as long as she does what she wants and fights for it, and as long as she just worries about herself, everything will be okay. She also sees parents and families around her as weak, failures who put the hope of their children at the forefront to distract from achieving more with their lives. In this way, Ethel does seem to have a very cynical view of the traditional family unit. At this point, Ethel is drunk at church, either preaching or just worshiping. Clearly, she does not want to be there. From what it seems, and due to her being the titular preacher's daughter, her father is left by this point, and she has now taken over the duties of this church. She is losing faith and wondering why she feels alone when God is with her. With no father figure in her life, and since her dad was her physical manifestation of God, she feels abandoned. This passage indicates that Ethel preached and stayed in this town for her dad. The saying, "do it for Dale," is also a common quote in the NASCAR community referring to the late Dale Earnhardt. At this point, however, Ethel wants to do what she wants and leave this town, as we see in the next song, A House in Nebraska. After the cynically triumphant ballad of American Teenager, A House in Nebraska acts as a much more somber tale.
Labored breaths and bed sores, sing it to me all day long. When the aching sound of silence used to be your favorite song. You and me against the world. You were my man and I your girl. We had nothing except each other. You were my whole world. And the day came, and you were up and gone.
After the last track, we now see that Ethel has escaped her hometown with a man. Hayden has stated that this man's name is Willoughby Tucker. In this opening, Ethel is lamenting her love for this man who she felt completely comfortable with and wanted nothing more than to be with him, but he left her. Leaving is now becoming quite a large theme in this story, with Ethel's father and God previously both abandoning her. The sex and silence of wherever they are is also a nice reprieve for Ethel from her bustling suburban hometown.
And I still call home that house in Nebraska, where we found each other on a dirty mattress on the second floor. While the world was empty, save you and I. Where you came and I left, and you left and I cried. Where you told me even if we died tonight that I'd die yours.
We now see where these two lovers are, in this titular abandoned house in Nebraska. Clearly for Ethel, she sees this time as perhaps the best in her life. Considering how much Ethel wanted freedom and liberty in the last song, she has now picked a new prison of comfort in this house. She very clearly saw herself living exclusively for this man and wanted to die his. This makes us wonder, did she really love him or just hate herself?
These dirt roads are empty, the ones we paved ourselves. Your mama calls me sometimes to see if I'm doing well. And I lie to her and say that I'm doing fine, when really I'd kill myself to hold you one more time. And it hurts to miss you, but it's worse to know that I'm the reason you won't come home.
From this passage, we witness how this man left Ethel and everything that she feels they created together. Ethel lies to his mom, she loved Willoughby more than anything, and now all she wants to do is die. She wants this since she feels that she is the problem. He left because of her. She not only thinks that she is the reason that Willoughby left, but also why her father left.
I was never scared to tell I hurt, and I found
just pray that you're alright.
From these lines, we witness that Ethel waits up for this man, for her father, and for God to come back into her life while she drinks. She also reflects on when she and Willoughby first met in high school and how much she loved him back then. All she wants is for him to be okay.
And I feel so alone, and I feel so alone out here. I feel so alone, I feel so alone out here.
With this last repeating line, Ethel is alone again, the one thing that she doesn't want. The next song, Western Nights, is not much of a tonal shift from A House in Nebraska. This story is very elegantly told and one of the standouts on the album in my opinion. This story follows Ethel's next lover, Logan Phelps.
He's never looked more beautiful on his Harley in the parking lot, breaking into the ATMs, sleeping naked when it gets too hot.
This opening establishes Logan, Ethel's new love. He is a bad boy who rides a motorcycle, commits crime, and is quite troubled, maybe even more so than Ethel.
I watched him show his love through shades of black and blue, starting fights at the bar across the street, like you do. The neighbors beat on the walls while I'm face first in the bed. Show me how much I mean to you while I'm lying in these sheets undressed. I'd hold the gun if you asked me to, but if you love me like you say you do, would you ask me to?
The first two lines here are pretty straightforward. This new man is looking for trouble constantly and uses his love for Ethel more as an excuse to beat people up. The next two lines are a little bit more complicated, however. I think one could either interpret these lines as meaning that Ethel and Logan are having sex so loud that the neighbors are beating on the wall for them to stop, or the police are beating on the door while they are having sex to try and catch Logan. I'm much more fond of the latter interpretation personally, but it's up to your personal preference. Regardless, Ethel establishes that she would get into whatever trouble this man wanted her to. She has little to no regard for her own well-being right now.
Trouble's always gonna find you, baby, but so will I, crying only because I'm happy. Hold me across every state line. I'm never gonna leave you, baby, even if you lose what's left of your mind. 'Cause you know I'll be right there beside you, riding through all these western nights.
This sweet, sickly chorus is repeated twice in this song and is quite magnificent. Here, Ethel states that she wants to be with Logan forever, through the thick of it and through hell. She's happy because she finally found another person to latch onto again, and not think of how much she hates herself. They keep journeying together from place to place, Ethel thinking she can fix this man who is clearly too far gone.
I haven't spoken to my daddy in a long, long time. I don't want him
In this instance, Ethel is thinking of her dead father, knowing that if he were alive, despite everything, he would be worried about her. Slowly, Logan is being backed into a corner, both physically by the law and emotionally by Ethel. As Ethel states here, they are running out of money and having issues. Logan is refusing to open up about his problems, something Ethel thinks she should have pieced together beforehand. She can see that this is going to be the end of their relationship soon.
Crying in the light of the TV stand, I'll still be alright. Clinging on to you like some love-blind addict. I'll be screaming your name past the gas stations, trailing down the interstate. Please don't love how I need you, and know that one day you and I could be okay.
The end of this story depicts Ethel seeing on TV that her man died during some crime that he committed. This deeply wounds her after losing every other man in her life. When she states, "You and I could be okay," she could be talking about Logan and how if they had just worked things out, they could have lived a happy life, but I see another interpretation. The through line for this entire album is very clearly Ethel's father, so she could have been referring to him and how one day maybe she'll forgive him for the actions he's performed, actions which we have yet to find out. The fifth track, Family Tree, finally catches us up to the start of this record. It can also be seen as the real turning point of the album, where Ethel will either need to grow or succumb to another man who will be worse for her than the previous ones.
These crosses all over my body remind me of who I used to be. Give myself up to him an offering. Let him make a woman out of me. I'm just a child, but I'm not above violence. My mama raised me better than that. When the preacher talks, that man demands his silence. And Daddy said shoot first and run and don't look back.
While the first two lines here are the same as the album's opening, the rest is completely different. From these words, we witness how Ethel feels about herself and that she feels like she can only be a sacrifice to other strong men and she cannot become her own woman. In this way, she feels stunted. Also, when she speaks of her mother teaching her violence here, it appears to be against her father. The more we hear about him, the more it seems like he was violent towards Ethel and her mother and that they needed to defend themselves.
So take me down to the river and bathe me clean. Put me on the back of your white horse to ride all the way to the chapel that you wash all over me.
This chorus embodies Ethel and is very reflective, just like the rest of this song. She feels like she is dirty and needs to be made pure, a grimy stigma that appears to have been placed upon her by her father. This is why she looks for men to fix her and make her feel loved and clean.
I've lived before and I'll kill again. Take the noose off, wrap it tight around my head. They say heaven hath no for.
After hearing these 4 lines, we can discern that Ethel feels like she has been through hell, committed terrible actions, and she needs to be cleansed. The line, "Heaven hath no fury like a woman scorned," is also a play on the line, "Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned." To Ethel, both heaven and hell are unforgiving, arguably heaven more so. So she feels mistreated and angry since she has been wronged by God, her father.
These crosses all over my body. Remind me of who I used to be. And Christ, forgive these bones I've been hiding. And the bones I'm about to leave.
The first 2 lines here are again the same as the opening, but the last 2 are quite interesting. What are the bones that Ethel has been hiding, and what are the ones that she is going to leave? I interpret this to mean that Ethel has accepted that she will have to keep ruining herself, and that she is not in a position to love herself. I also think it is entirely possible that Ethel actually killed her father and is covering it up, which would greatly explain these last 2 stanzas. Regardless, we see that she thinks that there is no going back. From what I can tell, Hard Times is a more underrated moment on Preacher's Daughter within the Ethel Cain community. It is a moment for us to reflect, even more than Family Tree. This track is where Ethel has reached the peak of her depression, and a song to reflect on the past before continuing on.
Hide me there under the leaves. I'm going on a tear. Lay it on me. Tell me a story about how it ends, where you're still the good guy. I'll make pretend, 'cause I hate this story where happiness ends and dies with you.
The opening to this song is a bit somber, and is Ethel reflecting on everything that has occurred so far. She knows that her behavior has been childlike. She is still trapped as a 9-year-old despite growing up. She just wants things to work out well for her once, and wants to find a man for her life to be perfect. She doesn't want another man to exit her life through death or by simply leaving.
I thought good guys get to be happy. I'm not happy. I am poison in the water and unhappy. A little girl who needs her daddy real bad.
In this passage that is repeated twice in the song, one can see that Ethel has convinced herself that she is the problem, not the men in her life. She's just a little girl wishing to be with her dad.
In the corner on my birthday, you watched me dancing right there in the grass. I was too young to notice that some types of love could be bad. Praying I'd be like you, doing all of the things that you do, and I still do, and that scares me.
Here, Ethel recounts some kind of tragic event that happened to her when she was very young. On one of her birthdays, she was abused verbally, sexually, or emotionally by her father. This is when she learned that some types of love can be bad. As a child, she wanted to be a perfect wife and follow God when she became older, just like her father taught her to. This blind faith in men seems to have become twisted and hindered her in her adult life, however.
I'm tired, still tied to me. Too tired to move, too tired to leave. I'm tired, still tied to me. It's just the way that you are. I'm tired, too tired to leave.
These final repeating lines of the track manifest that again, Ethel hates that she still feels tied to her father and his legacy. She can't seem to break out of this cycle, now feeling far too tired to do so. She's always felt like a puppet for these men in her life, a learned behavior as a kid with her dad. Thoroughfare is by far the longest song on this album and a complete left turn from where the album seemed to be leading. This is a full-on country song that is very traditional, perhaps echoing what Ethel had wanted all this time. This feeling of tradition and belonging may not last forever though.
You fell in love with America when you were 12 years old. And by 17 you knew you had to see it all. You loved your dad and the love he had for your mother, so you had to get out and go chasing it, sweet call.
At the beginning here, Ethel is setting the scene for a new man who has entered her life named Isaiah. From what Ethel tells us, Isaiah had a love for America and two loving parents as a child. Seemingly, this is the man that Ethel has been searching for all along. Because of his love for America, she tells us that he just had to leave and see all of it. The setup for this man already makes us kind of skeptical, but at this point, Ethel just wants love of any kind.
I met you there in Texas somewhere on the Thoroughfare, on the side of the road, in some torn up clothes, with a pistol in my pocket. I didn't trust no one, but you said, baby, don't run, I'll take you anywhere. So I hopped right in, out of luck to spend, and at least your truck beats walking.
This second verse tells us where Ethel met Isaiah, on the side of the road in Texas. At this point, Ethel is at wit's end, a pistol in her pocket from Logan and Western Nights, and nothing else but the clothes on her back, running from the police. She only goes with Isaiah as she has no hope left in her life.
And you said, hey, do you wanna see the West with me? 'Cause love's out there and I can't leave it be. And I said, honey, love's never meant much to me. Oh, but I'll come with you if you're sure it's what you need.
This chorus tells us that Isaiah is looking for love somewhere out west, supposedly just traveling. Ethel came with him as she has no hope left, she can't seem to live with herself anyway.
So we made off for California to find your lover, driving day and night in every small town diner. Saw our faces at least once or twice, but in these motel rooms I started to see you differently. Oh, 'cause for the first time since I was a child, I could see a man who wasn't angry.
This verse here portrays Ethel and this man driving around the US. As they stay together in motel rooms, Ethel reveals heartbreakingly that this is the first man who she has been with that isn't upset, angry, or unsatisfied with themselves. Ethel sees this as a source of comfort and begins to trust Isaiah more.
And he said it's been a long damn time since I left Florida. No one left to lead and no one left to love. But now that I met you, I finally know just where I'm headed. And we found heaven and time, where your western sunshine met my deep southern wet. And you got lost in it, and yet you found yourself hard pressed for air and sweating.
Isaiah now tells Ethel that he loves her. Ethel convinces herself that this is what she has wanted, this is perfect, and she wants to give this a chance. These lines now focus on Isaiah's love of Ethel rather than a love of the West.
Once we reached the coast, you said, end of the line. We finally reached the edge. After all this time, I didn't find my love, but I still made it this far without it. And then you turned to me instead, and to me deep, and said, well, maybe not, 'cause look at what I've got. You might not be my love, but baby, I doubt it.
Isaiah and Ethel finally reach the coast, and Isaiah tells her that while he didn't find his love, he found her, who he has now fallen in love with. This last bridge is really the last lines of note in this song, and while it may seem like a traditional meandering country song, the implications when paired with the rest of the album actually become quite unsettling on repeat listens. The next song, Gibson Girl, is Preacher's Daughter's point of no return. Ethel has officially gone too far and cannot physically leave. On a musical front, the beat of this track also sounds like the heartbeat of Ethel and Isaiah. When the music and lyrics begin to escalate later, the heart even starts to skip beats.
You wanna love me right now? You wanna get alone with me? You wanna get my clothes off and hurt me?
Verse 1 expresses Ethel's desire for Isaiah. She clearly knows that he wants to have sex with her. Note that she also says he wants to hurt her here. It is doubtful Ethel really expects him to hurt her right now, so she is most likely thinking back to the other men in her life who have hurt her physically and emotionally.
You came alone to me from however far away, asking me to know how I know you're always sad.
Ethel has previously stated what she feels Isaiah's intentions are. She believes that all he wants is sex, as that is all that the other men in her life have wanted. She seems to be somewhat okay with this, and enjoys the liberty of a one-night stand right now.
Black leather and dark glasses, pour in another while I shake my asses. Cold-blooded, so it takes my time to bleed. Obsession with the money, addicted to the drugs, says he's in love with my body, that's why he's fucking that up.
Ethel and Isaiah are now fooling around and are both drunk. Her calling him cold-blooded here alludes to him being an animal, a predator. She believes that she is the prey and that he is going in for the kill, aka sex. They have also been taking drugs, and we can use context clues to determine that Isaiah is most likely a dealer.
And then he says to me, baby, if it feels good, then it can't be bad. Or it can be tomorrow, in a stranger's love. And if you
In this chorus, Ethel again clearly has reservations about Isaiah. Isaiah uses the line, "If it feels good, then it can't be bad," regarding the usage of drugs with him, as well as his aura in general. This is a pretty poor argument, but Ethel won't argue. We also view here that Ethel is somewhat excited for this one-night stand. She is tense and nervous, but in this moment she feels attractive and wanted.
You wanna fuck me right now? You wanna see me on my knees? You wanna rip these clothes off and hurt me?
I don't have much to say about these lines, but they are a simple escalation of the first verse of this track. The mood has gotten heavier between Ethel and Isaiah.
And if you hate me, please don't tell me. Just let the lights be all over me.
This pre-chorus contains the last lines on this song that are noteworthy before the chorus repeats another 2 times. At this moment, Ethel just wants to feel love and that's it. She doesn't care if this ends, but she wants to be happy right now. Ptolemaea acts as the big climax and twist of this album. Isaiah's fangs are revealed in this big chilling moment. It should also be noted that the title Ptolemaea refers to the name of the 3rd zone of the 9th circle of hell in Dante's Inferno. Here, those who betray their guests are punished.
I followed you in. I was with you there. I invited you in. Twice I did. You looked up too much. But not like I do. Not like I do.
In the opening line, we hear Isaiah speaking, someone other than Ethel for the first time. He talks of inviting Ethel in and now betraying her, relating back to this idea of Ptolemaea. In this portion, the same phrases are repeated by Isaiah over and over again. These lines mostly embody Ethel giving herself over to Isaiah. We begin to see what Isaiah really is from the way he speaks, the devil or a demon. Because of this, this can be interpreted as Ethel giving up her devotion to God for Satan. Finally, we get Ethel speaking again. She describes Isaiah, this demon, as a wolf promising to take her in, to love her, and to care for her. The analogy of a fire is used for this, and instead of the fire warming and nurturing, it catches Ethel on fire. This embodies the agony Ethel feels in this moment. Ethel is now backing into a corner, seeing Isaiah's intentions, not sex, but murder. She wishes her parents would come and save her, but unfortunately, her mother and father have left her here alone. This is Isaiah speaking again. This demon tells Ethel that her struggle is futile and that her life has led her to this moment. Here is Ethel speaking. She is now completely and utterly terrified. She doesn't know what sinister acts this devil has committed or what he is willing to do to her. She wants for him to look away, but he keeps looking at her unflinchingly. Ethel now pleads over and over for the demon to stop looking at her. She lets out a high-pitched scream on this final stop. This is now Isaiah speaking again at the denouement of this track. This line draws a parallel between Ethel and her father. Due to his sins, she is now paying the price. This line seems to be about Ethel's mother, abandoned by her husband after he died. She had to try and raise Ethel on her own, partly resulting in her fatherly issues. The demon now speaks of the children and families raised like Ethel's family. He argues that they lash out and come to know God as punishment catches up to them. Isaiah now speaks about Ethel, saying that she was promised to him divinely by God. He states that God hates her and that this is her punishment, something Ethel has believed all along. In this line, we see just how much contempt Ethel has had for herself. The demon now says that he is not evil, but just a force to take Ethel as punishment. When he states that he saw Ethel spill her first blood, this could most likely be referring to the portion of family tree where it seems that Ethel may have killed her father. This torment could therefore be retribution for that first kill. The song now ends with Ethel running away and transitions into August Underground. August Underground is a purely instrumental track, but depicts the chase between Ethel and Isaiah. Eventually she is captured and killed. This and the next song are ones that really just need to be experienced, in my opinion. Televangelism is also an instrumental track, but takes place after Ethel dies. It is actually quite a beautiful song and displays Ethel not going to hell, but instead rising to heaven. Bleached Flies is really the thesis statement of this entire album. It has the same instrumental as the beginning of Televangelism. As a side note, this is also my personal favorite song on the record.
Bleached flies sitting in the window waiting for the day they escape. They talk all about their money and how their babies are always changing while they're breathing in the poison of the pain.
In this intro, Ethel is ruminating on her life now that she is in heaven. She describes the way that she saw people in her community and her church. She believes that all they cared about was their finances and children while they slowly died. This is obviously quite cynical and the reason why she wanted to escape from her hometown.
What I wouldn't give to be in church this Sunday, listening to the choir so heartfelt, all singing, God loves you, but not enough to save you. So baby girl, good luck taking care of yourself.
Despite Ethel speaking about how she didn't desire the typical American lifestyle earlier, she now reflects that this would have been a better predicament than death. The churchgoers sing, God loves you, but not enough to save you. In this instance, they are acknowledging that while God loves Ethel, she alienated herself from her community to the point where she really needed to choose for herself to get help.
So I said fine, 'cause that's how my daddy raised me. If they strike once and you just hit them twice as hard. But in the end, if I bend under the weight that they gave me, then this heart would break and fall as twice as far.
In these lines to the first chorus, Ethel speaks about how she decided to leave and hold fast, exhibiting the same attitude that her father had. She really believed that she only needed herself to get through life. Here she does say that this lifestyle causes one to fall twice as hard without a good support system to help. Because of this, she still felt tethered to her father, showing why she lashed out due to his trauma.
We all know how it goes. The more it hurts, the less it shows. But I still feel like they all know. That's why I can never go back home.
Ethel voices how she felt while she was away, that she couldn't give in and go back to the church. They all knew how she was hurting, and she didn't want to seek help from them.
And I spend my life watching it go by from the sidelines. And God, I try, but I think it's about time I put up a fight.
These two lines are where the drive comes back into Ethel. She knew that if she had gone back, she wouldn't have really been living or doing what she wanted. She would have just let her life go by. Now she thinks it's time for her to fight and do what she wants. Although she broke away from her community, what she really needed to break free of was her father.
But I don't mind, 'cause that's how my daddy raised me. If they strike once, then you just hit them twice as hard. But I always knew that in the end, no one was coming to save me, so I just prayed. And I keep praying and praying and praying.
This is the second repeat of the chorus, and while the first two lines are the same, the last two are different. Ethel states here that she always knew deep down that she would have to get out of her situation herself, and that there was no man coming to save her. She recognized how hard this would be though, and instead took the easy route.
If it's meant to be, then it will be. So I'm heading there, told him singing, if it's meant to be, then it will be.
There are a few phrases here that are repeated over and over again. Essentially, Ethel is finally forgiving and forgetting her trauma to give her life to God now that she is dead. She had been focusing all of this hatred inward and is now releasing it.
Praying for that house in Nebraska, by the highway out on the edge of town, dancing with the windows open. I can't let go when something's broken. It's all I know, and it's all I want now.
At the outro of the track, Ethel is still thinking about Willoughby Tucker, that first boy from a house in Nebraska. She is praying that he is okay and she forgives him for hurting her. She reflects that in that situation, she probably was the problem, unable to let go and forget, but now she has forgiven him. While Bleached Flies was the real resolution of Preacher's Daughter, Strangers acts almost as a credit sequence for the record. It is the final song and deals with the aftermath of everything that has happened.
So God is telling you and I that there is death for all of us. And then we find that the scriptures also tell us that we have a great promise, that there is a better place for those who believe in the Lord Jesus Christ.
Just like the opening of this album, this song now bookends with a preacher speaking. He is discussing heaven and the fact that the Bible states that there is death, but eternal life for those who believe in God. Now that Ethel has died, she will receive the gift of eternity.
In your basement I grow cold, thinking back to what I was always told. Don't talk to strangers or you might fall in love.
We now transition from heaven back to Isaiah's basement. Ethel's corpse is still there, pondering the fact that she fell in love with this man and how it became her demise.
Freezer bite, you're sweet divine. You devour like smoke, bovine hide. How funny, I never considered myself tough. You're so handsome, walking over to me now.
We then see Isaiah, this devil, not only keeping Ethel's corpse in his basement, but also eating her. When she talks about herself being tough here, she means that although she felt like an emotionally weak person, she was ironically physically strong, with tough flesh that Isaiah is tearing into.
I try to be good, am I no good? Am I no good? Am I no good? With my memory restricted to a Polaroid and evidence.
The first few lines of the chorus here are heartbreaking. Ethel is now lamenting, thinking again that maybe she deserved this. The last memory of her is preserved by a picture that Isaiah has taken of her.
I just wanted to be yours. Can I be yours? Can I be yours? Just tell me I'm yours. If I'm turning in your stomach and I'm making you feel sick.
The second portion of the chorus focuses on the fact that Ethel just wanted to belong to someone. She didn't think this would be her fate and just wanted to be loved. It also appears that she hopes that Isaiah feels some kind of remorse for what he has done.
When my mother sees me on the side of a milk carton and when Dixie's dairy, she'll cry and wait up for me.
Ethel is now thinking of her mother. She knows that with her being gone, her mother will miss her, wait up for her, and cry.
We'll make love in the night. Euphoric in some strange delight. I'm happier here 'cause he told me I should be loved. You're so handsome when I'm all over your mouth.
Making love in the context of these lines is just this demon devouring Ethel. She hopes that he is happy and that this is what he wanted. She also hopes that Isaiah can live with himself for the horrors he has committed.
Phoned you just to tell you that I made it real far, and that I never blamed you for loving me the way you did while we were torn apart. Now it's too late with you there. Don't think about it too hard, you'll never sleep a wink at night again.
After a repeat of the chorus, the outro starts here. In these lines, Ethel seems to be speaking to her deceased father. She doesn't blame him for being hurt and broken and still loved him until the end. She didn't want her dad to ruminate on what he's done too much so that he can forgive himself.
Don't worry about me and these green eyes, Mama, just know that I love you. And I'll see you when you get here.
The final few lines of the album focus on Ethel speaking to her mother. She doesn't want her mom to worry about her, as she knows that they will meet again in the afterlife. And that's the entirety of Hayden, Silas, and Hedonia's Preacher's Daughter as I interpret it. Again, not everything may be correct here, but I feel that the beauty of analyzing art like this are the different interpretations. Hayden appears to have a great career ahead of her, with her newest project, Perverts, also being phenomenal. I hope that you all enjoyed this analysis and learned something new in the process.